Hello and welcome to this video, to this YouTube page. My name is Grace Crysdale and I am so excited today to be talking to you about nourishment and filling and fulfilling yourself with nourishment. This is such a huge topic when we get into self-healing and self-reclamation, embodiment, all of these beautiful things that set us on the trajectory to fulfilling who we want to be and embodying who we want to be. We have to come back to nourishment, and there is such an interesting energy around nourishment, living in, a fallen masculine architectural society. People are working in like cubicles for 8+ hours a day. People are grinding, people are exhausted. I talk about this a lot on this channel. The energy in which, people are burned out, and it doesn't facilitate a lifestyle, a momentum where we can actually get back into healing ourselves and feeling good about ourselves and all of the beautiful stuff that comes along with how deeply internal we have to go to really heal. This is such a huge thing, and I feel that it is not even properly described or understood by most people. Nowadays, luckily, we are getting into more of a mainstream understanding of, mental health is really important. Health in general, fitness, a proper diet, even supplements, vitamins that support the body's nourishment. But beyond that, inner healing is so much more than setting aside like 10 minutes of meditation a day. And I feel that it is such a big jump for people to understand, because we are in such a masculinized society where the workflow is inorganic, especially to the female body. I talked about this in my video, healing the yin energy of the body, and how, based off of female hormones and the structure of the female cycle over like the period of a month is very, very different from that to a man. And it's really important that we take both of these things into consideration. How are we supporting our bodies when it comes to work, and when it comes to how we're spending our days, what we're spending our time on, how much we are exerting throughout the day. This is so vital to understand and to properly take care of inside of our bodies, because our energy, our exertion throughout the day, we have to take note of it. We're not like machines, which is such a distorted way of looking at the body. We're not meant to be functioning in a way that a machine does, or working for numerous hours a day without properly nourishing ourselves. We have emotions, and our bodies are so incredibly intelligent that they're keeping track of every time that you're not noticing their cues. They're keeping track of how trustworthy you are and how you are listening. This is why it's very interesting. I've gone through a lot of journeys within myself with like weight loss and depression, anxiety, all of these systems where my body felt betrayed by me because I wasn't listening, or even, under eating, malnourishment, stuff like that, where your body will tell you things, and it even chronic pain, which is so prevalent in today's society. Like, the body just wants you to notice what it's telling you. And when we consistently ignore these cues and ignore these needs of the body, it kind of starts to reject us, and this is when the adrenals get burnt out. This is where everything just gets all kinds of whacked up, because no longer are you working in a coherent functional system, In that way, the body could be perceived as a machine where it is functioning at an optimum. If we get out of its way, it's functioning in this optimum state. But the word machine is a very like distorted AI way of perceiving the human body. The human body is very spiritual. The human body is very feeling. The human body is very emotionally tapped in. So it's not a machine in that way. Like, we can't just tell it to do things. We can't just go on a diet or a workout routine where we're working out like crazy amounts and we're just expecting our body to deal with it, kind of thing. The body needs to know that we are trustworthy. And when it comes back to nourishment, that is us re-regulating our nervous system. That is us re-regulating the trust that our body has in us, knowing that we are providing for it, knowing that everything we do is for it and not against it, and that we're a team, we're a system, we are an ecosystem, we are an alliance, we are in union with our body, and that will really support this nourishment that needs to occur for our highest good. And yes, nourishment can be seen as a more feminine energy. And when I say feminine energy, it's looking at it in a way that is, like I said, we are in a very masculine society. So what does that mean? That means very action oriented. That means very structured. That means we have a mission. We have things we want to do. We have things we want to complete. And nourishment doesn't always subside in these structures. If you have a structure for your day and you have like every single hour planned out, if your body is getting sick, or if your body has an emotion coming up and you don't have time throughout your day that you've like completely stressed, like scheduled in every single minute, you're falling out of nourishment and you're falling out of your ecosystem and your body's needs. There is a way to set this up so that you are like allowing yourself to take the time, even if it's like 10 to 15 minutes of, okay, I'm just gonna like sit with myself for 15 minutes, even though I have work to do. This is my priority, because when your body is functioning in its optimum state, when your mind and your emotional body are functioning at their optimum states, you will be in flow all the time. The reason that we get out of flow is because there are stagnancies, there are blockages, and these blockages can be emotional, these blockages can be physical pain, all of these things. So when we take the time to come back to nourishment, we're really upping our game. We're upping our precision. We're upping our projection into how much creational outflow we can perform and do and stay consistent in. So these are all the reasons that nourishment is so important. I feel like it's kind of weird to justify it, because yes, we live in a masculine world, and when I say that, I mean structurally wise, right? Like, we kind of just went over the whole thing about how the world is, in a way, set up in a more structurally masculine energy, right? So when we come back to nourishment, it's very yin, it's very feminine, it's very flow, it's very slowing down, providing your body what it needs, motherly, very fluid, very open-hearted, very emotionally intelligent, very intuitive. And when we haven't been in these states very often, or like at all, it can be super confusing about how we get back into that state. So some things that we can do are literally touch. Touch is huge. Your body is like, I can almost guarantee that your body is crying for touch. Unless you're in a super awesome relationship, and you're receiving massages all the time, not from your partner, but even from like a massage therapist, or you're getting acupuncture done, or you're hugging your family member. Like, there's like this interesting statistic where people who receive like, I think at least 5 hugs a day, their mental health is significantly higher and like better than people who like receive like 1 hug a day, or people who receive like 1 hug a week. A lot of people receive probably a hug like, I bet you, like every few months. It's so sad, but it's a reality in the way that people are living their lives. We're very disconnected from one another, and touch is such a healing thing for the human, for these human bodies. Like, we have skin, we have fingers, we have hands, and there's all of these points in the body, like acupuncture points and meridian points, that literally want to be touched, want to be held, and they want pressure on them. So it's like the body's literally designed for touch. The body's literally designed, like, that's therapy. That's such organic, natural therapy for the body. So if you can give yourself like a little foot massage, if you look up acupressure points, there's some all along the jaw here that are really good. This is like your stomach meridian. Even on your forehead, if you can just put your hand on your forehead, these are really good for stress relief. And it's funny because you'll see people when they're stressed out, they'll literally like, oh my god, like hold their forehead. But there are points along your forehead and your eyebrow specifically that are connected to relaxing your nervous system. I forget what organ it's connected to, but yeah, that's a hack. So look up those points, and that will be seriously beneficial for you. Of course, meditation is nourishment. Quiet is nourishment. If you can start feeling your emotions, this is so foundational. The reason I go into these specifics and these, for some people these might be like baby tools or, kindergarten tools, but we have to keep going over these things because the foundations craft your mastery, right? So a lot of really wise people will say this, the foundations will craft your mastery. If you're not like meditating in silence every once in a while, even if your meditation work is more, quantum, or you're talking to your guides, you're doing emotional inner child healing, like if you can come back to silence, which is just like such a foundational point of meditation, your body literally really, really needs that quiet. Lisa Renee, she has like a meditation. She talks about if you are ill, like sick, your physical body is sick, if you can count to 100 and like have no invading thoughts, just sit in silence and count to 100, your body will be able to like do miraculous healing because it's not actively firing all of these thoughts, thinking, exerting energy. Thoughts are so exhausting, guys. As everybody knows, thoughts are so exhausting for the body. So meditation is huge. Eating is huge. I'm a very I love eating, and I really like talking about how healing eating is, because I think we live in a society where some people really overeat and some people really undereat. And it's very weird that, people are telling other people how they should eat. And that is a tricky topic because, of course, a lot of people need guidance in terms of, what they shouldn't eat per se, in terms of, because, we're fed by the government and by, all of these brands and the medical companies and stuff, like all of these horrible foods, like processed white sugar, Doritos, like just these food groups that are like not food, like just chemicals basically. So if you're eating like a healthy, clean diet, we need to really come back, in my opinion, back to our body's cues. And once you're emotionally regulated, like sometimes for myself even, I'll have moments where like if I get really upset, some of the first things that my body wants is food, right? Because it's so like emotionally regulating, because it's like you're consuming something, you get that positive hormone release and all of that stuff. So the body is intelligent. It's like, oh, we're just gonna like consume food and we'll be fine, which is sometimes true, but other times, you know, it's a mask for what we actually need to be doing, which is like emotional healing, inner child healing. So yeah, when we start regulating our emotional state, we can, you know, come back to these organic bodily cues. You know, a lot of the time people are very underfed. They don't have the right nutrients. You know, there's so much that goes into this, like electrolytes, minerals are huge. There's specific like things that the body really needs, like magnesium, copper, zinc, all of these little vitamins that are so important that the body doesn't get, and that still ties into nourishment. There's so much that goes into nourishment, guys, but really what I want this video to be about, or what I wanted it to be about, is that we don't have to fear nourishment. Nourishment is so prevalent to any form of healing. Nourishment is foundational for, in any which way you want to go or do or be or exist, nourishment will take you there. Because when you are abundant and overflowing with energy and vitality and creativity and nourishment and self-love, that comes from nourishment, whether that is physical nourishment or mental nourishment or emotional nourishment. That's where it comes from. And at the end of the day, we can seek it out in others, but the most important nourishment you will ever receive is from yourself, from your self-acceptance, your self-love, your self-regulation, your self-inner and understanding. That is the best and most vital way that you can heal and you can nourish yourself. And that is really what I want to recommend, is that everybody takes into account, you know, how can I provide for myself? How can I be better to myself? Because this is your landing. This is your your platform where you land. Always come back to this point if you're struggling, and this is where you start. This is your projection point, your takeoff. You need to have a very sturdy and steady point of landing, and that needs to be you and only you. And then once that is steady, you can have your beloved, you can have your family, and they will heal because you are so steady. You are the stable place. So I highly recommend, following these things that we talked about today. Please let me know how it came across to you, how you feel about this, what nourishment feels like in your body, your experience with it. And I hope that this video served you in any way, shape, or form. Please like and subscribe if you want to. Definitely don't have to. I also have a website called Creational Codes with lots of offerings, lots of support and assistance spiritually and emotionally. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.